All right, welcome everyone. We're going to talk basics of screwdrivers. So I've got a number of different types here that we're going to talk about. The first that we're going to talk about is probably one of the most used these days is the Phillips screwdriver. This is your basic Phillips screwdriver. This is one of my favorite ones. It's got a rubber grip on it and it's got a coated end, hardened end on it, so it's a little tougher than usual. Here are a basic set of Phillips screwdrivers, and you can see they have different sizes. This one is a P2. This one is also a P2, and it refers to the size of the bit on the end. This one's smaller, it's a P1, as is this one. Continuing on, probably the oldest style screwdriver is the flathead. And this one is labeled as a 3/16, and it's basically the width of the flat end on the screwdriver. And so they come in all different sizes. As I said, this is probably the oldest style, but probably the least used. Very easy to strip out, and then it's very difficult to get the screw out. This one is this one's been through the wars. This is an interchangeable one. You can flip the bits around, right, and use different bits. Like this one has a square bit on the end of it, so you can swap them out with different bits like you see here in this kit and use whatever you want. So it's handy if you don't want to carry a lot of different tools. All right, now moving on to what we call Torx. And so these are called Torx or star bit drivers. And they come in different sizes. These aren't labeled, but they come in all different sizes and are very handy. They allow you to apply a lot more torque than the Phillips or the flathead do in order to screw in screws to heavier, thicker, denser material without the screw head stripping out. All right, and so this one is also called a Torx. You can see it's a star shaped, but it's got this interesting hole in it which makes it a safety Torx. And so when you have a screw maybe out in public somewhere that you don't want anybody to mess with, you use something like this, so it makes it very difficult to unscrew. This is also used in seatbelt systems, so making it more difficult for anyone to dismantle a seatbelt. All right, this particular guy right here is a square head bit. It's a different type that you find in this kit over here. Here's another one. This particular one is made specifically for removing hard to remove Phillips head screws that are maybe starting to strip out. And it's very handy. And so those are a lot of the basic screwdrivers. I went ahead and included Allen head wrenches. They are called wrenches, but they actually act as a screwdriver, just with a different style head. It's a 6-sided tool, and they come in metric and standard American, and are very handy also for getting more torque on tightening down even bolts as well as screws. And so moving on up, if you are not doing as delicate a work to use a hand tool, you can move up to power tools. This particular one is more of a torque driver. It allows you to drive bigger screws or bolts with more torque. And this one is a standard drill screw gun, which has a torque guide on it, so it'll give you different different torque ratings. If you need to drive something hard, you put it higher up on 20. If you need to drive something lightweight, you turn it down to the lower numbers. And it's got two different speeds on it, a slow and a fast. You just flip this switch. It's got a forward and reverse, so you can screw in or out, drill in or out, and a quick release chuck that you can tighten and loosen by hand. And so here on this board, I've got a couple of examples, right? So this is an Allen head bolt. You can turn this either way. And then here is a Phillips head. And then this one is a Torx bit. You hear that noise that made, that tells you that it's turning it with more torque. All right, that is the basics of screwdrivers. Thank you for tuning in today.